Welcome to Season 2 of the Erotic Realm podcast, where we explore the world of eroticism, one erotic realm at a time. I'm Em, a sexologist and kinkster. The mission of the Erotic Realm is to humanize desire in all of its forms, including darker desires. Each episode, we dive deep into the psychology of desire with a sexpert, everyday kinkster, or a kink expert. This is an independent podcast. To support it, please consider becoming a paid subscriber at psychologyofdesire.com, where you'll also find deep dives into desire and surveys that you can participate in. You can also sign up there to get the podcast delivered directly to your inbox when it's released. If you'd like to support the podcast, please consider checking out the brands that support the Erotic Realm. There's Firm Tech, whose tech ring offers fascinating insights into sexual health by tracking erection quality and nocturnal function. Splash Blanket, who create luxurious waterproof blankets designed for comfort, intimacy, and real-life messes. ProDX Health, who offer discreet, at-home STI testing. While Karoo and Lovents make premium pleasure technology, from couple toys to long-distance interactive devices. Then there's Lioness, who are doing something truly unique in sex tech, using biofeedback and orgasm data to help people better understand their arousal. I'm also partnering with Flow and Desire, science-backed libido support supplements designed to support sexual vitality and well-being. These are brands that I find genuinely interesting, science-backed, and I've used them myself, so they come with my recommendation. You can find the links to all of them in the episode description. If you try them, use the links below. It supports the show at no extra cost to you. And now, back to today's conversation. The following conversation explores Tantra, BDSM, ecstasy, sexual well-being, and the lifelong pursuit of human flourishing. My guest today is Barbara Carrellas, author of Urban Tantra, sexuality educator, activist, and one of the most influential voices in contemporary conscious sexuality. For decades, Barbara has challenged conventional ideas about pleasure, teaching that sexuality can be a pathway not only to connection and intimacy, but also to healing, embodiment, and ecstasy. Together we explore the origins of urban tantra, why some people need intensity to soften, the psychology of pleasure, non-genital orgasms, and Barbara's latest book, the Book of Ecstasy. Now, for me personally, this conversation was particularly meaningful. More than 20 years ago, I sat in an audience listening to Barbara speak. And many of the questions that eventually led me into Tantra, sexology, and the erotic realm began there. Enjoy. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Erotic Realm. Today we are exploring the Erotic Realm with Barbara Carrellas. Welcome, Barbara.
Hi there.
Happy to have you. So to start us off, can you share with everyone a little bit about what it is that you do?
I'm an author, a sex educator, a workshop leader.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the author of the book Urban Tantra and the upcoming The Book of Ecstasy. And prior to that, I was a Broadway general manager of Broadway shows in New York City.
Oh, how fun.
It was.
Now, for some people listening, when they hear terms like Tantra, they're not really sure exactly what you mean by that. It might be their first time really hearing someone speak about that term, especially on this podcast where we focus a lot on kinky sexuality. So for someone new to the term Tantra, how do you define it?
I define it as an embodied spiritual practice that appreciates all aspects of life on earth as a valid path to enlightenment, to consciousness. The Tantra is a Hindu and soon thereafter Hindu-Buddhist-based spiritual practice that goes back centuries in India and later in both southern and northern India.
Mm-hmm.
And Since its inception, it has spun off into numerous branches, numerous subsets, numerous tantric paths, numerous ways of doing Tantra. And in the 20th century in the Western world, we refer to it now as Neo-Tantra because we are, again, another branch of Tantra that has evolved and literally branched out. I think of it like a tree all over the world. And yes, we're definitely now in America, Australia, England, Europe. We are in the Neo-Tantric phase, and Urban Tantra is a branch of Neo-Tantra.
Mm-hmm. And how did you, yeah?
I was just going to say that it may seem, because it's true, that the Neo-Tantric practices today are very sexually based. And I think there's a simple reason for that. There are so few practices, spiritual practices, that are embracing of our sexuality, that when people find one, they're just like all over it. It's like, let me at it. I have felt this connection between my sexuality and my spirituality for ages, but I've been told to keep them separate, that they couldn't possibly be connected. I'm doing everything wrong, blah, 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 blah. So when there's a practice that says, no, let's use your erotic energy and let it meet your spiritual energy and see what happens, that people are very drawn to it. So years ago, I fought it. I was like, Tantra is not all about sex. And now I'm like, okay, let it be, because it's clearly what's needed now. And Tantra has always responded historically to what was needed in the culture at that time. So it seems like we're just continuing that trajectory. I would have called it something other than Tantra when it started to become a thing in my life and in my world, when it kind of grew around me. I sort of started something and it started to grow. But I wanted to welcome everyone who didn't feel comfortable in the traditional practices of Tantra, traditional Neo-Tantra, which generally meant white, middle-aged, middle class, heterosexual, abled, probably with a rather nice physical presence. And I wanted to welcome all the queers, all the people of different genders, all the people who were a little more differently abled, and everyone who felt that they didn't fit into that 1980s, 1990s vision of American Tantra, which to them felt very Marin County, California. The Americans will know what I meant.
Right.
Yeah, so I called it Tantra so that, as if flying a flag, that all my misfits, and I say that with great pride, I am one of them, all my misfits could find that flag and we could all gather under it.
I love that. I really love that reframe around the focus on sexuality and Tantra being perhaps what is needed, and embracing that. I haven't heard someone speak to that in that way before. So thank you for that. That's really beautiful. And
thank you.
I wanted to know, when did you first arrive at the word Tantra? What was your first experience with Tantra? Was it in America or were you traveling?
It was in America. I was busily doing my Broadway shows. And then the plague that was AIDS hit us like a tsunami. And it was, I was obviously in a profession with a higher than average, perhaps, population of gay men. So we felt it in the theater very early on. By the late 80s, I had lost so many people already, and they would continue to die. The worst of it was yet to come. That I was devastated all the time. And the shows that I was doing at that point seemed incredibly pointless and meaningless, which was not a condemnation of the Broadway industry, where I had done some really fabulous stuff. It was there's also the shows I was doing at the time.
Right.
And I went to the New York Healing Circle, where I met Joseph Kramer, founder of Body Electric and Sexological Bodywork, and Annie Sprinkle, the performance artist, who was still a porn actress, but transitioning into feminist erotic art at the time. And I got a lot of support from the New York Healing Circle. It was founded on the work of Louise Hay, who was doing her group called the Hayride in Los Angeles, on which the Healing Circle was based. And Joseph and Annie and I kept coming up with the same question. What are we going to do when people are no longer scared sexless?
Right.
They are right now, so that virus is not spreading within our community right now, but it's already here. And people will not live without sex. They will start taking chances again. And what are we going to do? And Joseph was an ex-Jesuit priest. So sexuality and spirituality had already become very real to him. He was also a body worker. He was working with Taoist sexuality and Taoist principles of sexuality, and was combining his rebirthing skills, breathwork skills, with massage, expanded it to erotic massage, which could be done safely with no body fluids exchange, and with a spiritual purpose. You could turn those sessions into sacred rituals if you wanted to. Annie and I said, "Great, Joe, keep going. We've heard about Tantra. We were all looking toward the East, because in the East, we were told that sex was more of an energy you allowed, not an action you did. It wasn't, how to have 35 orgasms this Saturday night. It was how to allow more orgasmic energy into your world. You know what I mean? So Annie and I started exploring Tantra, and because we were in New York City, and the Healing Circle was essentially a spiritual and healing-based group, we would have guest speakers, and some of them had come from ashrams in India. And Annie and I started studying with one of them called Jwala, who was very sex positive. And there were many others, but she was our first go-to person. And she is, I think, the first person that I actually knew who was a practicing tantrika. And Annie and I learned a great deal from her. And that just opened the barn door of infinite possibilities. And although neither of us went to India, because frankly, we had so much to cope with here, lovely spiritual, personal, sensual, and spiritual explorations in India was something we just didn't have the space for in our lives. So we would study with whatever Tantra teacher we could. We would find a practice and go, I think this might work with the guys. We would take it back into the New York Healing Circle, and we'd say, here's what we've learned. Let's try it. Let's see if it serves you. Does it get you high? Does it turn you on? Is it fun? Whatever. And if it worked, we went, whoopee, new practice. If it didn't, we said, okay, back to the drawing board. What I learned during those years was how to take an esoteric practice and put it in language that gay men who used to party in all-night raves in discos in Manhattan and San Francisco, that they might appreciate, that they might enjoy, that they might find funny or appealing. So translating became one of the, a good example. This isn't mine, it's Annie's. She, we loved chanting, chakra chanting, chanting sounds up the body. However, Sanskrit chanting isn't necessarily on the top of everyone's, God, I got to try that list.
Right.
So she said, I know, when I was doing a lot of porn on film, I was called in to do the moans and groans. I said, moans and groans? She said, yeah, they'd hire one girl and one guy to do all the sex sounds for the men and all the sex sounds for the women, because obviously the sound they didn't have sound equipment that was up to,
Ah.
the budgets were rather small, let me say.
Uh-huh.
So if you've ever watched a porn film from, say, the 70s on film, and you're going, how is she making that sound with that big thing in her mouth? It was the moans and groans. In the movies, they call it looping, but it was the moans and groans in porn. So Annie said, the moans and groans are like a chakra chant. Now I understand why I was getting high doing moans and groans. I never turned down the job when they asked me.
Mm-hmm.
So took it back to the guys as moans and groans. And I still use it in my workshop today.
Love it.
So that was the beginning of Urban Tantra.
Yeah, I was just about to ask, is that so? That's where Urban Tantra, the idea for the book, spawned from this time. Mm-hmm.
Totally. And also it was the beginning of when I started to explore the nature of ecstasy. Because ecstasy historically, especially in religious history, has always been at the intersection of struggle or pain and bliss. It's like ecstasy is frequently, if not always, cathartic. It can be, it's not just, hey, that was great fun. It's something deeper, more transformational than that. It doesn't have to be some great some great struggle, but today I was thinking, God, I have so much to do today, and I was kind of in my worry work head. I opened my car door, and the wind hit me at just the right angle, just the right speed. The air was just the right temperature. And it smelled great. And I just said, just stop. And I just let myself get filled up with that. And it was a very short, brief, very ecstatic moment. Because I guess I've learned to take my ecstatic moments where I can get them. They aren't always the culmination of a blissful night in the dungeon, They can be, and they can be small blissgasms. They are not necessarily roargasms or laughgasms or angergasms or crygasms, although they can be. They can be much, anyway. So that's when I started to notice, when you've got a room full of people with AIDS and there is a small blissful moment of pleasure when 6 people put their hands on them and a tear rolls down their cheek, and now I'm getting choked up. Hang on.
It's okay.
This
is the beauty of those moments. They stay with you, right?
They sure do. And everybody in that little circle has an ecstatic moment, not just the receiver. So that's the kind of, and because we were working with non-genital produced orgasms, because bodily, we were with Joe's massage, by the way, but not in what I was speaking of in terms of chakragasms and things. We also learned that the erotic does not have to be expressed solely through genital stimulation and touch. It can be, but it's far and away not the only way to get to those ecstatic moments.
Yeah, such profound experiences that you've had. I can't even imagine those moments that you've shared. So thank you for sharing a little bit of the feeling with us. I really appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you for the breath.
It's really interesting to hear about, the fact that non-genital orgasms have been a thing that have been happening for so long, even in the modern world. And yet I'm sure there's listeners right now that are hearing you speak about it that don't quite believe that that could happen to them or to someone that they're enjoying an experience with. What would you say to that person that's listening that might not believe in non-genital orgasms?
I would suggest that they broaden their definition of orgasm.
Okay.
If you broaden your definition of orgasm to erotic energy, moving through the body, releasing tension, connecting body, mind, and spirit to something along those lines, then your perspective changes and your intention changes. And it really is all about intention. If my intention is to get you off genitally fucking you, then I'm going to put all my attention on fucking you. And that might lead to a genital orgasm, but it also might not. It might lead to some other experience. Intention rather than goal is what I'm really saying. We haven't had successful sex unless I've had a genital orgasm, particularly one that lasted at least blah long, blank long. And if the intention rather is to see where we can go together and how high we can get together, that can happen in a wide variety of ways, as everyone who's ever played in a dungeon without sex can tell you. Those are orgasms in my book: cane-gasms, floggergasms, spanking-gasms, fire-gasms, needle-gasms.
So in your mind then, are there a plethora of orgasms, so unlimited types of orgasms almost? You don't ascribe to this idea that there's 7 types of orgasms that a woman could have, or it sounds like you're basing your idea of orgasm around pretty much any
peak
kind
experience.
of sensation. Yes. Any kind of build up and release of energy.
Yes, build up and release.
Okay.
Yeah. And I see, and I haven't listened to it yet, but I bet you just had a podcast recently with someone speaking about asexuality, and I bet they had a lot to say about this too.
Yes.
I'm just guessing.
Yes, and that's the amazing thing about kink, like you were mentioning. There's so many ways to access pleasure, even through pain in kink, that just broadens your horizons so much to what's out there and what you can experience with someone else, and the different types of intimacy that you can explore with another partner.
It's one of the reasons I wanted, I'm very proud of the change that my book Urban Tantra has brought to the world, but it felt incomplete. And the kind of experiences that we have just been talking about are why I wanted to write the Book of Ecstasy. I wanted to be able to include asexual people, people surviving cancer and other genital complicating, orgasm depleting conditions, and suggest that there are other ways to have extraordinary moments, not replace what's been lost, but just to become the new uniquely you person. For example, I mean, it's sort of like the gender issue. People who become the gender they were always meant to be frequently have questions about, this doesn't work the way it used to, but what does work? Where is my new sexuality? And happily, I think in my community anyway, we've gotten to the place where I don't hear so often, oh my God, I had to give up sensation or sexuality to change to become my true gender. It's like, okay, now that I'm really me, what are the possibilities? Let's find them. And that's also what I want to encourage. I teach a professional training program, and a lot of gender nonconforming people come to that program. And I'm hoping to help train professionals who work with the gender nonconforming community to approach rediscovering sex in a playful, joyful, what the heck? Let's try it and see if it works kind of way.
I love that. And it actually speaks to the research article that I wanted to bring up with you today, which is interesting. And it's from 2023, so it's pretty recent. And there's researchers Lorimer Greco and Logali, and they're proposing a new model of sexual well-being, which is focusing not on dysfunction, but arguing that sexual well-being should be understood as part of human flourishing, connected to autonomy, connection, capability, and the quality of life. And it sounds like we already know that this framework is resonating with you. So I'm curious, what do you believe would change if sexuality was viewed through this lens of flourishing rather than pathology?
Oh, everything. And that's why ultra-conservative cultures around the world right now are so terrified. Everything would change.
Everything. So do you mean every aspect of humanity?
All the really basic ones, like who somebody identifies is, let me take brief anecdote. My partner, Kate Bornstein, who's a transgender author, actor, activist, and I used to be fond of the X-Files. And we noticed one season that all the evil ones, all the really scary ones, creatures, were shapeshifters.
Right.
Huh, said I. What are gender nonconforming people but shapeshifters? They are scary. You can't pin them down. You don't know where things are. Now, if you apply that kind of shapeshifting to who we're in relationship with, polyamory, if you apply that same premise to families, what if everyone could choose their family and everything wasn't based on, well, you can only inherit this if you are their blood relative? What would change? Everything would change. If you start out with just who people are, how they reproduce, how they form families, and how they partner. Basically, capitalistically speaking, everything is based on that.
Right.
It's the root chakra of everything. And then, obviously, systems grow up from there. It would, yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, could I draw a parallel line in this conversation to how that affected the stock market? No, but give me a minute and I probably could find that sort of line. Really, that's why it's so terrifying. But I want to read this article. Send me the link later.
Yes, I will. I will, definitely. So you've been involved in the sexuality area for several decades now. What has been the biggest change in the sexuality realm that you've been witness to?
Oh, gender.
The approach to gender.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And how our feelings and knowledge and freedom, despite right now, the possibilities around gender have exploded for the good, I believe. In the middle of the AIDS crisis, about very late 80s, probably maybe 1990, Louise Hay delivered a talk at Town Hall in New York called The Totality of Possibilities. She was a minister in the Church of Religious Science, and this was based upon one of the writings from that church. It was a metaphysical church, think positive thinking, that sort of thing. But her talk was about we each of us live underneath a low ceiling of the possibilities we think are available to us. And it is our job as spiritual growing beings to lift that ceiling. That's how we grow, by seeing more possibilities. What if there were, could you imagine the totality of possibilities? The infinite universe of possibilities. And then she went on to say, right now we do not have a cure for AIDS. And I can't tell you when but it's possible. And of course it was. We had a temporary one, and now we're looking, the mRNA vaccines are pointing us toward a final cure for AIDS. We'll see. But she's right. And we all live under such a low ceiling of possibilities. And the possibilities of gender are endless. And I believe this is just the way I make sense of the universe. Okay. I'm not asking anyone else to believe it, right. But I believe that we come back to this plane of existence, wherever, again and again, and often in clusters. I believe that a recent soul group was all of the gay men who died of AIDS. They taught us so much in their suffering and dying. They changed so much. I think the tribe that came in after them, the soul group that came in after them, were trans people. I think they took the baton from the AIDS guys and said, okay, our turn now. Thanks for opening all those doors. That's what I think.
That's such an interesting way to think about the world. I love imagining the possibility of human potential and being open-minded about, what's to come and having hope for the future. And thank you for expressing that. Today's episode is brought to you by Splash Blanket, the world's most luxurious waterproof blanket. Designed by Australian founder Rosie Rees, Splash Blanket helps you relax, let go, and enjoy intimacy without worrying about your sheets, mattress, or furniture. It's made to absorb over a litre of liquid while remaining completely waterproof and handles everything from massage oils and lubricants to sweat, spills, and more. Available in a range of sizes, colours, and fabrics to suit every sensory preference, it's comfort, confidence, and peace of mind all in one. Good sex gets messy, and Splash Blanket has you covered. Use code DESIRE at checkout for your exclusive discount. I'll put the link in the show notes below. Enjoy. So going back to the article, why do you think pleasure remains one of the most overlooked aspects of well-being?
Yeah. We are conditioned from small children to cope with bad things.
Yeah.
What happens if you flunk? What happens if the car crashes? What happens if the plane crashes? What happens if the house burns down? What happens if you get it? Yeah, your parents die. Everything. Where is the equal amount of attention and importance paid on here's how you live a life of pleasure and share it with others? And I'll use pleasure in a very broad sense. How can you bring joy and pleasure to other people and enjoy it with other people? I think it's lovely that when someone's house burns down, a whole bunch of neighbors rush in with stuff, with physical stuff to support them. Of course, that's beautiful. But why couldn't we get? Here's a good example here in New York, this past weekend. So that everyone's going to. Okay, stop. I just want to make this not so date. So recently in New York City, the New York Knicks, it's a basketball team, won the championship, the national championship, for the first time in 53 years. The city exploded with joy. Exploded. They had helicopters news helicopters above the streets. Every major intersection, every square, every were covered in people dancing and hugging each other.
Mm.
It was the best example of group ecstasy I had seen in a very, very, very long time.
Mm-hmm.
The level of joy and love that poured over 5 boroughs, 8 million people of New York City was astounding. It shouldn't be an accident. It shouldn't take once every 53 years. We should be able to enjoy each other like that over much smaller things.
Mm-hmm. So why do you think it is that we find it so hard to take pleasure in other people's pleasure? For example, if a friend shares that they had an amazing sexual experience on the weekend or an erotic experience of some kind, why is it so rare to find someone that really revels in that and enjoys that?
Don't you think that, well, what's your experience in the kink community? The kink communities I belong to feel to me like they do.
Yes.
Appreciate.
I'm talking like outside of the kink community, I suppose.
Okay.
Mm-hmm,
I think that's what's nice about erotic communities,
It
kinky or
is.
otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a capitalist society based on competition.
Mm-hmm. So it's like, why do
Maybe.
you get that and not me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Belief in limitations. Let's go back to Louise. Belief in limitations. There's only so much pleasure going around, and you just took too much.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because, as above, so below. It's like the way you do everything is the way you do anything, to quote Sherry Huber. And it's the way we do business. It's and the way you do anything is the way you do everything. So pleasure gets rationed because the belief is that money and happiness is rationed.
Whereas you're of the belief, I imagine, that there's enough pleasure for everyone and more.
Especially pleasure. And I would suggest that if people understood that all the fighting and struggling we're doing to make things better or to survive when governments oppress us, we're doing it for the ecstasy, or as Dan Savage, the columnist in New York, in the United States, would say, we're doing it for the dance. We're going through the hard stuff so that we can have the ecstatic. We've got the part about going through the hard stuff. We don't have the ecstatic. And his quote, and I don't have it in front of me, and I'm sorry, had to do with, and I'm paraphrasing badly, during AIDS days, we marched in the morning, we buried our dead in the afternoon, and we danced all night. It was about the dance. We were doing it all for the dance. And I think that that's my new motto. If it is, I better memorize it, don't you think? And I will.
I love that. So it's almost
brilliant.
It's almost like we're not focusing enough on the end part of the ritual. It's like an unfinished ritual.
Yes, and you know how,
Mm.
like a scene can end any number of ways.
Mm-hmm.
The way we approach going through hard times, let's say, or having less than we need, is like this endless, I'm trying to make it sound right. It would be like doing a scene without the release at the end, without the space for the release, without the aftercare, without all the yummy stuff that comes from it. It would just be one hard, painful struggle with no pleasurable ending in sight. Just we don't know how long the scene's going to go. This is going to go on for a month before I will finally get my reward. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, I hear your no. I agree. No to that.
Wouldn't that be fucking horrible?
Yes. Yeah, an endless scene without the pleasure. No, thank you.
Oh, let's
Mm,
build up all this energy and just keep being. Yeah. Anyway, we get
yeah.
it.
No, there's definitely a release needs to happen. I wanted to.
And when you release, as you know, that's when all the endorphins flow, and that's when we're
Yes.
having a good time.
Yes. Yes. Yes to that. So I wanted to explore a quote with you. You mentioned New York a couple of times, and there was a particular quote from Urban Tantra that stood out to me and how it relates back to kink. And where is it? You say the person in New York is more likely to want and need a harder touch in order to crack through the armor they have built up to protect their hearts and other soft, tender parts.
Yeah.
So it stood out to me because it made me curious about the intersection of kink and Tantra. Can you share more about what you meant in this particular quote? Why would someone in New York likely want and need a harder touch? And what does cracking through their armor look like?
And what does harder touch look like too?
Mm-hmm.
My teaching partner, Chester, called this concept the resilient edge of resistance. The resilient edge of resistance, you can do it like on your leg, your thigh, as you're sitting listening to this. If you touch your leg super, 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 super tickly lightly, it feels awful. You just want to smack yourself for even suggesting you touch yourself that way, or touch someone else, have someone else touch you that way. Then if you go really, 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 really deep, maybe dig your fingernails in, press really, really hard, it's like, ow, why am I doing that to myself? You've gone too far. But if you can find that place where you put your hand on your thigh and just the pressure is just right, not too light, not too deep, and it feels like this magical, safe holding, you've met the resilient edge of resistance. The resilient edge of resistance is physical, but it's also emotional. And the resilient edge of resistance changes, as anyone who does impact play will notice. You start off light, let's say with a single tail. You start off light like a little fly is buzzing around. Then maybe the fly is a little buzzier, a little stingier. And at each step, you're matching the new resilient edge of resistance. Until the resilient edge of resistance, that place where it feels just right, can be wild and bloodletting, and it still feels just right. That's the resilient edge of resistance. I noticed in my workshops early on, let's say on a Friday, end of the week, people come to my workshops. They are wired, and they are in their protective, let's say, corporate armor. And you can't just like tickle them with a feather, either metaphorically or in reality, and expect them to do anything other than go, what is this bullshit? But if you were, let's say, to suggest they receive an energetic, deep shoulder massage, they'd be like, bring it. Now, if you did that same shoulder massage that deep to somebody who'd been meditating all day, they'd scream. See what I mean? So it's meeting the resilient edge of resistance. And my point in that paragraph was making the point of people in urban areas. It can take them longer to like take off the armor and get soft again. And they do, but it may not be directly as they walk out of the office. or out of their job at the hospital or wherever it is someone works. And it doesn't just apply to people in urban areas, but I was in New York City and I noticed a big difference between what happened on a Friday night in New York City and what happened on a Friday night in a retreat center in the woods. Big time. Big difference.
So the people walking into the retreat center in the woods were much more open to receiving any kind of form of energy transfer and sensation.
Sooner. Everybody was open to it. It's how do we have to get there? How do we have to get there?
Do you think nature also provides that energetic opening as well?
Absolutely. Being in nature is the first, is just one of the easiest ways to the nature, animals, you know, just people start to melt. That the hard shell starts to melt.
Fascinating.
It is.
Yeah. I also have a related listener question here for you. They say, what do you think the BDSM and Tantra communities most often misunderstand or fail to appreciate about each other?
Great question. I saw that in real life in 2002, I think it was.
Okay.
When Tristan Taormino invited, it was a new event called Dark Odyssey, and Tristan Taormino invited people from the BDSM community, people from the Tantra community, people who were swingers, all these different sexual communities, shall we say, erotic communities, to the same event, which had never happened in our experience. You know, everybody stayed in their own community and played with each other, you know? We were all frigging terrified. The Tantra people thought that the BDSM people were just going to want to beat them up. And I'm obviously really reducing this to the common denominator that relates to the question. The swingers thought everybody was going to call them sluts. The BDSM people were afraid of the woo-woo Tantra people because they didn't understand them at all. So I think, and in that first long weekend, we realized what I had noticed actually when watching a Santeria priestess who was also a very heavy BDSM top, when she had needle circles around the chests, breasts of two women and then tied them together with elastic thread, and they would like sway back and forth. And I went, oh my God, that is the kink version of the heart mudra. I can see the energy. She just drew it in needles and elastic thread. And also my when I met and became friends with Fakir Musafar, that just broke down every spiritual, the BDSM people are scary, they're not spiritual. What? What? That's all Fakir and I ever talked about was spirit. So I get it. I get it that the BDSM players, the people who are really focused, I don't mean the show-offs, I don't mean the pretenders, I mean the dedicated people who know what kink is really about.
Right.
They and the Tantra people have so much in common, and the Tantric people just need to hear that you don't have to get hit with anything if you don't want to, but if you think of it as intense sensation instead of pain, you might like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the overlap between those communities in terms of how they breathe, process energy, let energy rise and fall, read each other's bodies, focus on each other, stay conscious with each other. They're doing far more that is the same than they are doing differently. The costumes are just a bit different.
Yeah. Yeah, my relationship with pain completely changed when I reframed it as intense energy.
Right.
And also doing Vipassana as well, and realizing that was another approach to pain. And I was like, I've done this before, just in a completely different environment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And that was the delicious part thank you, Tristan, of that first weekend in the woods was whoa.
And so did people come together by the end of it? Was there a separation?
Yeah, and it was only like 3-4 days, and people
Yep.
were like, I'm getting it now.
Oh, cool. How awesome.
And yeah, it was Tristan's vision, and she deserves all the credit for that one.
Oh, to be a fly on the wall there.
And everybody's courage. The people she invited to present at that event, she chose carefully. Let's just say that.
How cool. Okay, I wanted to zone in on your sexuality a bit now, because normally I do that at the start of the conversation, and we kind of dived into your work and bigger topics. So how would you describe your erotic identity today, both in terms of your sexuality and your kink identity?
Oh, pansexual switch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So pansexual in that you are attracted to the energy of people more than their physical
all
form?
genders, all genders, and I like this will get me in trouble. I'm going to say it anyway. I am working on the whole premise of equine tantra. I have a horse. Other people bake sourdough during pandemic. I got a horse. And you can do energy work, tantric energy work, breathing, eye gazing, all that stuff, resilient edge of resistance with horses or dogs or cats. So I include in pansexuality the absolutely ecstatic experiences I have with animals using the same techniques.
Yeah, I have heard that horses are very special like that. I haven't spent a lot of time with horses though, personally. Yeah, they sound amazing. And what about your kinky self? What are your top 3 kinks at the moment?
Oh, fire for sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah, fire's number 1.
What is it about fire?
Oh, it's one of those things. Oh, I'm going to hate that. No, I don't want to do that. Oh, do that again. So I'm both a fire bottom and a fire top. I'm best known as a fire top. I delight in doing things at one event. I light people on fire and shove them into a swimming pool.
Oh, okay, cool.
So much fun. So much fun. Great photos you get with that one too.
I can imagine.
Let's see. I like pony play. I'm not into DS really. I am a sensation player. With the pony play though, I go into the mind of a horse and I notice nature more, and I'm more in the present moment when I am doing that, and I can play both sides of that. I can do pony and trainer because I like taking people into that headspace. And I like single tails. I like single tails.
That's why you mentioned them before. Yeah.
Yeah. But I like a heart chakra study work too. As I think people have talked about on your podcast, you had one on kink and healing. I've done many grief rituals with flogging at the heart chakra, but in the back, the middle of the back. And if I'm laying against a cross and someone is flogging me with the intention of helping me release grief, I can feel it start to kind of pour out of the front of my body at my heart.
Ooh,
that
entire,
yeah, it is. It's wonderful. And I have a friend I call Cisbro. They're Two-Spirit Native American. They can do it better than anybody. Because they're so connected with spirit that it's like magic. So those would be my, I don't know, was that 3? Was that 4? Those were some of my faves.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. And I also ask guests to bring along something that has influenced their erotic realm, such as a quote, a book, or a movie. Have you brought along something that you're happy to share? Might be something from your childhood or teenage years that's really stayed with you.
Hang on. I remember sitting in a maple tree where I had gone for refuge. The absolutely hideously awful day of my first Holy Communion, where everything went wrong. I was in terrible trouble. My mother was furiously mad at me. And I went and I climbed this tree. And I was rubbing myself against this tree and crying and I guess sort of chanting. Anyway, whatever kind of like orgasm that was, I felt connected to the earth in a very part of the earth way and very connected to something way beyond religion, which after that morning, I thought was absolute. What really happened was I absolutely lost all my faith in that experience. So where was I? So I had to kind of look beyond the religion to the spirit, and managed to have this kind of what I would now call root to crown chakra connection, kind of with all that was. And it was my first really mystical experience. And that's when I understood, that's when I, looking back on it with adult reasoning, said, that's when I first tasted it. That's when I first got it.
Wow. Well, my next question, yes?
Yeah. I just knew that that's when things were going to be okay, and that my parents didn't matter and religion didn't matter. And not really. You just had to get through it.
Sounds like a moment of really connecting with your higher self.
Indeed, exactly. Yes.
Well, my next question was about a peak erotic experience that you've had, but it sounds like you've already just told us one there. Unless you wanted to share another one, but that sounds like a pretty profound one.
Why don't we just leave it there? I've learned not to try to top, theatrical experiences that worked.
Yes. And what about the future for you? What's something in your erotic future that you're personally looking forward to exploring more or experiencing? Has this book that you've just written on ecstasy created a new erotic experience that you're looking forward to? Has it shifted something in you?
Honestly, as you can tell from how this conversation started, I'm very work oriented, or creativity oriented.
Yeah.
I want to expand upon the equine tantra, both personally and, beyond the personal. I believe that if I could be one of many, I'm sure, people who could help people understand that if they can feel an erotic connection to something in nature, basic ecosexuality, this is, by the way.
Yes.
Then we are much less likely to be willing to hurt it or destroy it.
Right.
And personally, I have been working so hard. I find being with my horse, riding my horse, playing with my horse really erotic and really fulfilling. And I'm promising myself that I'm going to give up some things I really don't need to be doing. And that, those things that you say yes to and suddenly it's a life commitment.
Yeah.
Get rid of some of those and concentrate more on that and find those ecstatic moments and share them with other people so that other people can find them. I did a presentation of equine tantra, a little short thing, at an ecosexuality symposium, and somebody wrote to me afterwards and said, "Oh my God, it worked. It worked with this unhappy guinea pig I have." I went, whoa, you are creative. You are creative with a guinea pig. Okay. So I think that's it. And just also have more time to play, period. I'm not giving myself right now with the Book of Ecstasy coming out and my professional training program. The summer's busy and I'm going, where's my erotic reward for this? I'm very fond of an event in the United States called Camp Crucible, and they're based out of Washington, D.C. Yes, you can, campcrucible.com. We spend a week together, the community, in late May, and another one, long weekend in September. And I'm very looking forward to the September one.
Beautiful. So are you part of the crew that organizes that?
No, thank you. It's
No.
something I
Oh.
actually don't organize.
Okay.
I teach at it. I present at
lovely.
it.
Lovely.
And then I can play.
Fun. So if there's someone listening that feels disconnected from their erotic self, where would you suggest they begin?
I don't think there's one answer for that. People tend to go back to the last thing that worked, that stopped working, which is usually not productive. So I would say look elsewhere. Sometimes reading erotica is really useful for that. Yeah, I don't have a magic answer, but it probably isn't in what stopped working.
Well, that's helpful. Yeah, that's very powerful.
Expand. Try something new. Even if you don't love it, then try something else that's new. When we take a risk and walk into an experience and go, I don't know if I'm going to like this, it doesn't matter whether you do or not. But because if you just show up, somebody else across the room might be having the kind of fun that you suddenly go, oh, hey, I'm interested in that though.
Yep.
And hang out with other people. Don't look for it in a dating app. You know, look up Meetup, look up Eventbrite, whatever, and find people of potentially like mind.
Great advice. Thank you.
I wouldn't be who I am without the groups and the retreats. I just wouldn't. They changed everything.
Yep, it's really powerful learning in groups of people.
Yeah.
And finally, if you had to describe your erotic self in one word and one word only, what would that word be and why? I know it's hard.
Persistent.
Because you'll never stop.
Yeah, exactly. There's an answer to my partner calls me when I asked her what my superpower was, she said problem solver. And that's pretty accurate. So persistent. It's out. The answer's out there somewhere. The joy is out there somewhere. The kink is out there somewhere. The new thrill is out there somewhere. The better way to play that scene is out there somewhere. Totality of possibilities.
Yes, I love that. Well, Barbara, thank you for joining me. And for me personally, this conversation has been a little surreal because I saw you talk in Melbourne 20 years ago with Cindy Darnell. And I remember when you walked in the room and I was like, I want what she has. I could tell. I could tell that you had an energy about you that I wanted to explore more.
You were in that room with Cindy.
Yes, many moons ago.
Oh my God, I remember that so well.
Do
Cindy
you?
is living in New York now.
Yes. I remember she moved over that way. And yeah, that sparked a journey for me more into Tantra and travel, and in a way has shaped what's become this podcast. So thank you.
I am so flattered. I think this podcast is amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you for the inspiration all the way back then and for spending so much time inspiring people to journey into their own pleasure and consciousness, and for the new book. It sounds amazing. I can't wait to read it. And thank you for taking us into your erotic realm today.
Thank you.
Thank you again. I'm Em, and this has been the Erotic Realm podcast.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Erotic Realm podcast. This is an independent podcast. If you want to see more episodes made, you can support it at psychologyofdesire.com by becoming a paid subscriber and entering the realm with many other supporters. The mission of the Erotic Realm is to humanize kink and desire in all of its forms. And we can't do that without you. Until the next time, stay perverted.